Welcome to the channel. Welcome to today's run through of all the latest Manchester United news and transfer updates, keeping you right up to date with everything. I'm Jamie. Before getting into it, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let's jump straight into it. So let's kick off. As you can imagine, all the talk at the moment is regarding Ruben Amorim. It's going to be a theme this week as well. It's going to be a long-ass week when you lose, and when you lose in the manner that we did as well. And then you add to the fact how miserable it is at the moment being a United fan with the whole situation. It's going to be a very long week, and I suspect a lot of the news and noise is going to be regarding Ruben Amorim and his situation as well. So let's kick off with the manager situation. I do have a bit of transfer news to go through at the end though as well, but firstly, this came from Sully Talks. So he said that Ruben Amorim is described as a lonely man by sources. In training, he often walks away from the team. After losses, he sits on his own and doesn't speak to anyone. One says the job has broken him, and he looks a ghost of his former self from first joining. So going down the same manager cycle, the players, destroying a manager. How many times have we seen that? Where have you seen the images of when, does the round online, it's the funny one, memes where it's like before joining United, when leaving United with the Mourinho and Moyes and everything like that as well. So he seems to be going down that same cycle. Sully Talks also said, though, the atmosphere internally is described as one of the lowest it has been in recent times, having all enthusiasm which was built upon this the summer entering the new season crushed. Club sources insist that players that reports of the club looking at other managers is speculation. So Sully Talks saying that Ruben Amorim's, looking very lonely and a shadow of his former self from when he first joined, and that's what Man United will do to you, unfortunately. And that's what some of these players that have form of doing will do to you as well. Saying the atmosphere internally is low, so this is, so obviously the players are, I don't know, downing tools or close to downing tools once it gets into this vicious cycle. We've seen that before, haven't we? But also saying that reports of the club looking at other managers is just speculation as well. Now, interestingly, Samuel Lucas has said something similar regarding the players, where he said United's players startled by how quickly they have spiralled this season under Amorim. Squad were optimistic during pre-season and still were after Arsenal loss. In the report that he said that Manchester United players are astonished by how quickly they have spiralled this season. Dressing room sources admit the squad is dispirited after the galling 3-1 defeat to Brentford on Saturday, their third Premier League reverse already this term. The United squad was genuinely optimistic of having a successful season after a harmonious pre-season in Chicago, but there is already uncertainty over the future of head coach Ruben Amorim. So Samuel Lucas kind of corroborating what Sully Talks was saying as well about the players have basically, the morale's gone from the place. All that optimism that we had in pre-season, it was going to start the season, and the good performance against Arsenal was all evaporated. And it's a vicious cycle. This, isn't it? It's a vicious cycle. Once the players start getting like that, they're going to down tools, and then if they haven't already. And the end is near, isn't it? I don't think there's much coming back from that as well, apart from, doing your freaking job on the pitch properly. I was about trying that. I was about trying doing your job effectively on the pitch. And this is where the team selection comes in, doesn't it? If Ruben Amorim's got players that are feeling that way, why not try and freshen things up a little bit and maybe give some hungrier players the opportunity to see what they can do in the first team as well. But what Ruben Amorim's doing, and I picked up on this from some of his press conferences, and this is just my opinion, is if you go back and listen to some of the words he's been saying, it's all around the next game. He said it a few times in his recent press conferences, which was just like, it's just about this game, just wants to win, and he's only focusing on winning that particular game, which is not a bad thing to do in his situation. But what I think it also happens when you're kind of backs against the wall like that as well, in my opinion, you default away from what you're maybe wanting to do, and you're going to go down the route of picking your older, experienced players under the hope that their experience will see you through games, rather than looking into the future and forward planning. That all goes out the window when you're in survival mode, and that's what I think Amorim's doing. I think he's in survival mode, and therefore he's picking all the older players, the more experienced players, and as you and I know, watching this video, unfortunately, those are the players that are capable of downing tools and throwing managers under a bus, and it's that vicious cycle again, isn't it? That's how it feels to me, anyway. But let me know what you think about that in the comments, because I think he's defaulting to, okay, well, I have to play all my experienced players because they're more likely to get a result than because they've got that experience, rather than actually, can we see what Aiden Heaven, Lenny Yoro, Dillit look like at a back three? Can we give Kobe Mainu a run of games in midfield? Can we start seeing that as well? Because I'd much rather you go down like that than I would watching what we got served up at the weekend by some of these players. But yeah, give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments below. Let's run through the rest of the news. So Alex Crook has said that Manchester United are casting their net now to see what managers are available. I would say take that with a pinch of salt, though, with Alex Crook, not the most credible source. Steve Ralston, though, who is good with United News, saying that Ruben Amorim retains the backing of Manchester United board after the defeat to Brentford. No replacement is being lined up, so going against what Alex Crook was saying. Rob Dawson said that Ruben Amorim's preparing as normal for Manchester United's game against Sunderland. He has been given no indication that he will be on the not to be on the touchline at Old Trafford next weekend. And Fabrizio Romano has said that the United situation remains one to follow because they can't continue like this. But the club's position at the moment remains the same, backing Amorim. So, Rob Dawson, Steve Ralston, Fabrizio Romano going against what Alex Crook has said. So I would believe those in terms of credibility over Alex Crook from TalkSport. It's more like like gutter journalism, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's, but I think United would be naive to not be looking at replacements at this moment in time. But I don't think they're actively seeking replacements or interviewing. Maybe they are secretly, but I don't think we're at that stage yet. So the reports are business as usual. Amorim's going to be in charge for Sunderland, and then depending on that result will depend on, obviously, if we win, it buys him more time, and then we'll go maybe to the next international break after that, or heaven forbid, if we lose, maybe a decision will be made in the international break as well. But a lot of it will depend on the players, because the players are partly at fault for this, largely at fault for this, as well as the manager. They shouldn't be getting away with it. But if the reports are that the atmosphere is low and they're already pissed off with how bad it's getting and stuff, doesn't sound good, doesn't it? It doesn't sound good. But yeah, give us your thoughts on that in the comments. Rob Dawson, though, also said that Manchester United sources have insisted the club are not currently looking for replacements for Ruben Amorim and have denied speculation that Sir Jim Ratcliffe has already met Gareth Southgate. So that was Alex Crook and Ben Jacobs yesterday come out saying that Sir Jim has had talks with Gareth Southgate. Rob Dawson, who I would say is probably more credible, more connected at the club anyway, suggesting no, they've not had any talks with Gareth Southgate, which is a bit of a relief. That doesn't mean, though, he wouldn't become a target if Amorim does lose his job, though, which worries me. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments. Now, another manager that could become a target, obviously, if Amorim does lose his job, is Xavi. So Xavi is studying the Premier League and would join Manchester United immediately, even without European football. Now, that came from Fabrizio Romano, suggesting that Xavi is studying the Premier League and would join United immediately, even without Champions League football. And then there's been a report from Spain saying that Xavi has been without a job since leaving Barcelona in May 24, and the Catalan outlet say he has ruled out moving to Saudi Arabia. Sources inform them he is not keen at all. Prior to taking the Barcelona job in 21, the 45-year-old Spaniard managed Qatar side Al Sadd for 2 years. Mundo reports he doesn't want a Middle East job and is instead looking for a top-level club. Fabrizio Romano reported over the weekend that Xavi would be interested in the Manchester United opportunity if presented to him. That appears to be the job he's most keen on, with other sources reporting similar in recent years as well. There's been some quotes going around online, actually, of Xavi from a few years back saying that he would want to manage in the Premier League, but one of the clubs he would want to join or want to manage, I think, would have been Manchester United as well. So Romano saying that he's studying the Premier League, and then reports from Spain saying that basically he's turned down an offer to go back to the Saudi Pro League or go to the Saudi Pro League, and manage there, because he is waiting for a job in the Premier League, potentially waiting for the Manchester United job if it becomes available, and obviously if we see him as a viable candidate as well. But obviously a lot of ifs, buts and maybes when it comes to that. We need to wait and see what happens with our current manager at the moment, and that will all depend on results and we'll have to just see. Hopefully we can, it's as shit a situation that it is. It all goes away if we can just start winning games. But that's the issue for us, isn't it? We can't win 2 back-to-back Premier League games, which is insane to me, especially with the squad we've got. Because I think we've got, we do have good enough players to be winning more games than what we're seeing at the moment. But give us your thoughts on Xavi. Give us your thoughts on Xavi, potential candidate to replace Ruben Amorim if he loses his job and gets sacked in the future as well. What do you think about Xavi coming in? Give us your shouts on that in the comments below. It'll be interesting to read those later. Now let's go through some quotes from Gary Neville and Wayne Rooney had a lot to say regarding the situation as well. So let's go through Gary Neville's comments first. So he said, "I'm very worried. There is no point in me sitting here and saying I'm not. The levels of performance, the results, and the substitutions yesterday. I saw something at the end of the Grimsby game that they lost in the Carabao Cup a couple of weeks ago. Which was Mason Mount ending up at left wing back. We admire managers who are stubborn and resilient around their system. We want them to stick to their plan. But when you have Mason Mount playing at left back, you are going to look pretty stupid. It has happened twice now and it can't happen. The first time I thought it was unforgivable, and yesterday it happened again. He changes his back 3 and his back 5 every single game, and the performances and the results are just unacceptable. I'm really, really worried. I would never go on television, as I know how difficult a manager's job can be, and say a manager should be sacked, but I suspect the hierarchy at Manchester United are going to want to see a turnaround." So Gary Neville going in on Ruben Amorim on his in-game management, I think, more than anything, which is some of the criticisms you've had in the comments. I share that as well. His in-game management is absolutely terrible sometimes. When you're chasing a game and you're needing a goal, you bring on some attackers, but you just put them at playing like Mason Mount at left wing back, for example. Like, can you not at that particular moment just admit, okay, I'm going to go to a back 4 and I'm going to throw an extra man up front as well? But no, he brings on Mount and plays him in Dorgu's position. Like, what is the point in that? It's a waste of a substitution. All you're doing there, in my mind, is just giving Dorgu a bit of a rest, because Mount's not going to do anything from left wing back. It's not like a tactical decision, like anyone sat there and think, I know what I'll do in this particular moment. I'll bring on a number 10, but I'm going to play him at left back instead, and that's going to create the opposition loads of problems, isn't it? Like, it's insane to me, and that's one of the critiques of Ruben Amorim, is his in-game management and his substitutions. I think his substitutions are already planned in before the game even starts. So regardless of what happens in the game, he's like, yep, these are the substitutions I'm making because I've told you, or I planned it already in my head. And it's not about managing the game in front of you. You need to react to what the opponents are doing. And we don't. We just seen the same like for like, don't we? But yeah, let me know if you agree with what Neville had to say. And then the more interesting comments, though, were from Wayne Rooney, where he said the following. "So all day I've been debating this. Do I say this? Shall I say it? Because I know it's going to bring pressure, and it's going to go into the media, and it's going to get picked up, and the managers going to get asked questions about it, but I feel that I need to. I was at the football club for 13 years, and what's going on is not right. It is not at all, and it's not all on the manager, by the way. I'm seeing players, they're not deserving to wear the shirt, and it hurts. When you see, and when you've been at a football club for that long, and you care about the club, it's not acceptable what is going on. Manchester United haven't won back-to-back games for I don't know how long. This is not Manchester United. I don't recognise the club. I don't see any fight, character or desire to win. And he also said that it hurts to see players who don't deserve to wear the shirt. I spent 13 years at the club, and what's happening now is not right. And to be clear, it isn't all on the manager. There's like a summary at the end there as well. But yeah, give us like a fair play to Wayne Rooney for coming out and actually, not just going in on the manager, because the players are largely at fault for this as well. In fact, there's who shares the bigger share of the responsibility obviously goes back to Amorim, because Amorim's the one that's picking the players. But when the players cross the line, like, it's not Amorim telling players to not pass the ball to each other. Or I tell you what, when you've got an opportunity for a player running through on goal, instead of passing it into the space for him to run into so he can take a touch and maybe get a shot off on goal, why don't you pass the ball 5 yards behind him instead? Because that would be a really good move. Like, that's not coming from Ruben Amorim. He's not sitting there saying, okay, when the ball comes near our penalty area, you, just don't bother tracking runners into the midfield and just let them run past you. Or when the balls, and when you're getting a 50-50, just pull away and don't bother winning it, don't bother like, he's not doing that. That's the players and their mentality and their attitude, and their, they ultimately are responsible for their own performances as well. Yes, it might be because of the system or the tactics, and they might be getting confused, but it doesn't mean you can't do the basic things right. Like passing the ball to each other effectively is not a system problem. It's not a Amorim issue. That is a player mentality issue, and the players should not be getting away with it. But the fear is, and obviously the reality is, Amorim's going to probably lose his job, and then the players will stay. We'll get another manager in. They'll probably do well for a bit, and then the same old cycle repeats itself. The only wish that I have is that if Amorim does lose his job, Ineos are observing all of the players that are down in tools and are not performing on the pitch, and they are in the bomb squad next summer. That's the only way things will change, because if you get a manager and you stick with the same players that are not performing, then nothing's going to change. We're never going to we're never going to improve as a team unless the players that are not doing it also get removed along with Ruben Amorim as well, but obviously I get it, it's easier to remove Amorim at the moment than it is all the players that need to be sold because the transfer window's closed and stuff. But that would be my only hope, because I think otherwise we're just going to be going around in circles again. But as we've seen, and the evidence is there, Ollie, Ragnick, Eric Ten Hag, now Ruben Amorim, same old cycle. It's the same thing, isn't it, that goes round? But again, give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. And then the final story I've got for you is regarding Conor Gallagher. So this is coming from the Mirror, saying United draw up fresh midfield transfer plan after private Carlos Baleba decisions. So in the report, they're saying that Manchester United are targeting a shock move for Conor Gallagher. United boss Ruben Amorim remains keen to strengthen his midfield. Brighton star Carlos Baleba has been on United's radar for the last 12 months, but Brighton have no interest in letting him go cheap. A price tag of around £110 million has put off the English giants. United bosses are now looking at alternative options and believe Gallagher would be an ideal addition to a midfield that will lose veteran Brazilian international Casemiro next summer, when he is expected to leave at the end of his contract. So the Mirror are stating the obvious, I think, whereby they're saying that Conor Gallagher could be getting lined up as a future midfield target instead of Carlos Baleba because of Carlos Baleba's price tag. Because obviously if you're talking £110 million still, even with his form or his shaky start to the season as well, I don't think we're going to go anywhere near that sort of deal for January. Maybe Conor Gallagher could be somebody we could bring in. He would definitely give us a bit of athleticism in midfield and a bit of bite and a little bit of something that we are missing in there. Whether he's the right answer or not long term, who knows? But would he be, helpful at the moment? Then yes, I think he would be personally, but you can have your own say on that in the comments below. But let us know what you think about that. Let us know what you think about all the other topics discussed in today's video. That's you all up to date with the latest news and transfer updates. Don't forget to smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. See you in the next one.